I was a little panicked. I had these visions of like going completely bald, and as Black women, we have a very complicated relationship with our hair. It's definitely a day-to-day struggle, but just like keep looking in the mirror and like realizing that you're still beautiful. Hi, my name is Kyra Pulliam and I'm living with alopecia. My hair has been breaking since probably 16 years old. I was using a lot of relaxers. I was doing a lot of treatments on my hair. It was basically dyed and fried. I first noticed it along my scalp when I was like in my early 30s.
So alopecia in its simplest form by definition just means hair loss. The number one symptom you'll notice are patches of hair loss. So you may have either it's a spot in the front or you might notice like general receding of your hairline, but the most common symptom you would note is the loss of hair. Other than that, you can also note some itching, pain, tenderness, tingling, possibly even flaking in those areas where you are experiencing hair loss.
I didn't actually know the name for it, but I was kind of familiar with it because my mom had been complaining about losing some of her hair, and I thought it was just kind of like an older person thing, one of those things that happens as you age. But then when I noticed that I was losing my own hair, I kind of looked into it and I realized it was a direct result of like over manipulating, overheating, over treating my hair.
So alopecia can be a genetic disease. So some types of alopecia are hereditary, such as male or female pattern hair loss. It can also develop for other reasons, whether it's stress related or something related to the type of hairstyles that you're wearing. So for example, traction alopecia is something that happens over time with a lot of tension placed on the hair, whether it's from tight ponytails, braids, etc. So that is what I would say more of a case-by-case basis, but other types of alopecia can be genetic. There are several different forms of alopecia, and there are different categories. I think probably the simplest way to think about it is scarring versus non-scarring. The most common is a type of non-scarring, which is called androgenetic, also known as male pattern or female pattern hair loss. And that's the kind of hair loss that you'll often note as you get older, maybe in your 40s or 50s, tends to be hereditary sometimes.
I was overseas for a while and I definitely think that they were braiding my hair too tight. So one of the first things I did was I stopped doing braids as regularly for a while, but it's still a protective style that I really relied on because I'm also very active and stuff like that. So I basically just like asked my braiders to take it easy a little. It's like you don't have to braid my hair so tight, like all the way down to the scalp. It's okay if it has to come out a little early. But I also started trying natural treatments at home. So basically, like if there is a YouTube tutorial for stopping alopecia, I pretty much tried it. I was a little panicked. I had these visions of like going completely bald, and as Black women, we have a very complicated relationship with our hair. And honestly, like I just don't feel like I have the head shape to like pull off the bald look. Some people can rock it, and I just did not feel like I had the confidence or the natural head shape for that. I think with someone even as beautiful as Jada Pinkett, it's still a huge hit to your ego because it's like we're raised to believe that like hair is intrinsic to our beauty, and we emphasize like long hair and like growing our hair naturally and things like that, and it's just like short hair has become more accepted. I've even cut my hair to about chin length before, and I loved wearing that style for several years, but like there is still this stigma against short and bald hair, and I think especially in the Black community, like I have heard men, women, children, say that women with short hair look like men or things like that. So it's just something that is like, it's getting better, but there's still very much a stigma against like having hair that short or no hair at all. I was living here for about a year and I was going to a different braider. She was out of town for 1 or 2 weekends and I really needed my hair braided like as soon as possible. And funny enough, I found Anitra on Craigslist. She had a listing up and I was like, okay, like that is how I found my other braiders. So I was like, I'll give it a shot, and I came here and it's been like history.
My first client was over 25 years ago. She came to me, I actually went to her home. This was when I was going to different people's homes doing their hair. And she told me she had a couple of problem issues with different parts of her hair from her using relaxers and colors over the years, and it deteriorated her scalp and her hair. And that's when I started to learn about the alopecia epidemic. And from her, I just started gaining alopecia clients. They would like gravitate towards me. I don't know where they came from, but day to day, they would say, "Hey, do you specialize in alopecia?" And I would be like, "Yeah." So come on into my salon. I work with Caucasian, Hispanic, Russian, Indian, Black, Jamaican, I don't care, short hair, long hair, big, tall, skinny. Every one of them is like a puzzle to me because every client doesn't have the same alopecia or the same issue. They might have a piece here missing or a piece here or just in the front or just in the back.
Some types of alopecia can be reversed by treatment, particularly the non-scarring type. So if you are evaluated early enough and you're be able to start on different medications, you can reverse those types of treatment. Those treatments could include anything from topical medications to oral pills that the dermatologist might suggest, and can even include things like injections in the office. Sometimes we'll do steroid injections in the areas where there are hair loss. Later on down the line, patients can often consider what's called a hair transplant, which means essentially taking hair from parts of your scalp where the hair is still healthy and putting it in areas where you have hair loss. Most dermatologists won't do that until you have exhausted other options, but it is something that can be considered, assuming you are a candidate for a hair transplant. Is traction alopecia reversible? And the answer is yes, but if caught early on. So in the beginning, if you're able to catch it and to basically stop those hairstyles that's putting tension on the hair, it can be reversible and the hair can grow back. After a while, we do know that sometimes it becomes more of a scarring alopecia. So if you're doing high tension hairstyles for many, many years, eventually those hair follicles do get scarred over and it's much more difficult for the hair to grow back.
In a way, alopecia has been a blessing. I started doing crochet braids instead of individuals because I wanted to manipulate my hair less, and I wanted to, I just wanted a more protective style that wouldn't be so harsh on my hair. And while finding it, I also found out that I can try different colors and different styles, and it's been great. Even now that my hair is grown back, I don't think I'm gonna go back to individuals or relaxing my hair.
I get them to do different things and try to think outside the box and just live a little and have fun a little, because after they've been dealing with the alopecia issue for a while, their self-esteem goes down. So when I tell them, hey, try a shortcut or try something long or try something blue, purple, pink, yellow, green, it uplifts them, and they look at themselves and they're like, oh wow, this really looks nice on me, thanks.
It's a thing that me and my mom share. It's for my entire life we've had completely different textures of hair, but this is something where it's we've been able to kind of bond over it and exchange tips, what's working for her and what's working for me and things like that. And things don't always work the same for both of us, but it's also nice having a topic of conversation and something I can share with my mom, even though it's not exactly one of those things you wish for.
So I think one of the biggest stigmas with alopecia is just the shame over having hair loss in general. And I often will see patients who will hide that hair loss, whether it's with the hats or weaves, or et cetera, because they just don't want anybody to take a look at it. And unfortunately, for some types of alopecia, the longer you go, the worse it becomes. And so I do think it's important to shed light and to educate people that this is a very common issue. It happens to a lot of women. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. And it's important to get evaluated because we may be able to help you and to at least stop the process, if not grow back some of the hair.
It's definitely a day-to-day struggle, but just keep looking in the mirror and realizing that you're still beautiful. I mean, there's so many other things that make people beautiful. I kind of find things that I've always liked about myself. It's my skin is beautiful, my lips, my eyes are beautiful. It's not always about the hair.